This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the town of North Haven.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Board of Selectmen meeting here on March 5th. Thank you for joining us, and I'd like to ask everyone to stand and ask our Girl Scouts to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So tonight, we're going to start by issuing these fine young ladies and all the Scoutmasters a proclamation. So I'm going to stand there tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to read this. I think it's important that we spend the time to read this. And this is regarding Girl Scout Week on March 8th to March 14th. So, here we go. We gather today in recognition of Girl Scouts across the United States of America, and here in North Haven also, on the 114th anniversary, and we celebrate its founder, Juliette Gordon Low, and her legacy of providing girls with a secure and inclusive space where they can explore their world, build meaningful relationships, and have access to experiences that prepare them for a lifetime of leadership. The Girl Scout movement began on March 12th, 1912, when Juliette Daisy Gordon Low, a native of Savannah, Georgia, organized a group of 18 girls and provided them with the opportunity to develop physically, intellectually, socially, and spiritually. Girl Scouts offers girls 21st century programming in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Offers young girls the outdoors, entrepreneurship, and beyond. Helping girls develop invaluable life skills through the Girl Scout leadership experience. We commend the commitment of the Girl Scouts to getting girls outdoors and instilling an appreciation of nature and environment, while creating opportunities for girls to form lifelong friendships through summer camps and programming. Girls grow courageous and strong through a wide variety of enriching experiences, such as field trips, skill-building sports clinics, community service projects, and cultural exchanges. Girl Scouts helps girls develop their full potential, helps them relate to others with increasing understanding, skill, and respect, helps them develop values to guide their actions, and provide the foundation for sound decision-making, and contribute to the improvement of society through their abilities, leadership, skills, and cooperation. March 12th, 2026 marks the 114th anniversary of Girl Scouts of America, whose mission is to build girls' courage, confidence, character, and to make the world a much better place. So tonight, I Michael J. Frieda, excuse the voice, North Haven's chief elected official, by the virtue of the authority that's vested in me in the town charter, I do hereby proudly proclaim March 18th to March 14th, 2026 as Girl Scout Week here in North Haven, Connecticut. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So I'd like to ask these young ladies to come up here and join me. David and Bill, please join me also. So, young ladies. Come on. Go ahead.
You know what? Why don't you stand around behind?
Take a couple of pictures also. But I want you young ladies to know, and all the Scoutmasters, that this proclamation represents a symbolic representation of what you mean to North Haven as future leaders of our community. I thank you for being such wonderful ambassadors for the town of North Haven at such a young age. We appreciate all your efforts, and I know that maybe some of you may be too young to understand this, but it's so important that we, as the current leaders of our town, recognize the future leaders, and each one of you young ladies is a future leader, not only of North Haven, but other communities in which you'll end up living. Thank you very much. Wallace?
Yep, come on. Okay, we're not going to try to come up in here. Yep, we're going to get everybody up in here. Some of us go over here. Yep, come on.
Yep, come on, get in there. Come on, kneel down. Let's get.
Go ahead, Violet. Okay, I forgot. She can't.
There you go. Girl Scout cookies. Cookies. It's cookie season.
We have some Girl Scout cookies for you to thank you.
Oh my gosh,
Slow down.
There should be four.
She's up front.
Maybe give her
Ladies proudly.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you ladies.
You're always welcome to stay.
I don't know how long we can make them stay. So we're gonna go outside. We're gonna go outside and take a picture. I don't
So I mean, we're going to do, we're just going to explain it all. It's only going to explain if they start asking questions that are out of your scope. Okay.
Down.
I think it'll be a lot of the same questions.
And I think the thing
I look forward to West Coast. Thank you.
Thanks for the water. Thank you.
Just put down and then the sides to get,
and I'll turn off.
Thanks for being here tonight for this. Okay, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move to item number 2 on this agenda, and I'm going to have Bill Piper and David Cohen start with number 2.
Do number 2?
Be my guest.
Sure.
Get my glasses on first.
No problem. So this is number 2 on our agenda, public hearing on the Town of North Haven, Connecticut automated traffic enforcement safety device, ATESD municipal plan, prepared pursuant to Connecticut General Statute Section 14-7E. Note that a copy of the ATESD municipal plan is available for review at the town clerk's office and on the Board of Selectmen's 2026 meeting page on the town website at www.northaven.gov/government/public meetings/Board of Selectmen/2026. So you can find it in those two spots.
All right. Jennifer, yep, so. We have our town attorney here, Jennifer Capola. She's going to take us through this. And thank you for being here, Jennifer. We also have our police chief, Chief Andrew Stavridis here. So he's here also. Thank you, Andrew.
So please, if my voice drops and somebody can't hear me, please go. That's totally fine. Good evening. So I'm here as well as your police chief and a representative of the consultant, Ultimate. Plank is also here in the audience. And we're just going to take you through, again, this is the public hearing for the town of North Haven, Connecticut, Automated Traffic Enforcement Safety Device Municipal Plan. Some of you will recall, slide, please, Chief, thank you. That some months ago now, the town meeting did meet at a special town meeting held on September 29th to pass an ordinance, required ordinance for you to pursue the municipal plan. And so this is the plan. We're at the plan stage. The ordinance had been submitted to the DOT, was approved, and now we're moving on to the plan stage. So this public hearing is required by statute. So the overall goal of this plan is to, of course, improve traffic safety. The municipal plan is designed to reduce, and this is directly from the beginning of the plan itself, the required letter that goes to the DOT. I know that the Board of Selectmen members do have a copy, so you're going to be looking at DOT letter to find this language. There are a couple of copies of the plan up here as well, if anybody would like to take a look in the audience. So the municipal plan is designed to reduce the dangerous conditions within the North Haven community overall and at the selected location specifically. These dangerous conditions contribute to traffic collisions, serious injuries, and deaths involving pedestrians, bicyclists, motorists, and vulnerable roadway users on our roads. Slide, please, Chief. So the beginning of the plan is some housekeeping. Section A does have the full ordinance. Section B does have the public hearing notice for tonight that did publish in the advisor. Section C will have the plan approval public hearing minutes, so if Board of Selectmen does vote to approve the plan tonight, the minutes will be inserted in Section C. Section D has a very lengthy COG safety action plan, and I'll just talk briefly about that when we get to that. Section E has the municipal self-certification. I'll talk about the components of that. That is a requirement for the submission. F is the confirmation of established school zones. And I indicate that the local traffic authority, which is your Board of Police Commissioners, it has the agenda and minutes where they approve the school zones. And there is a special application being made to OSTA with regard to the Clintonville Elementary School Zone. So we'll talk about why that's happening as well. Then there's general municipal data, number of traffic stops conducted, equity data, qualified census tract information. And then the plan talks about the specific proposed school zones, and there are 6 of them. So when we reach that point, we will put that portion of the plan up because there are some photos and drawings and such that the public will probably take some interest in. So slide, please. So the ordinance. So state law does require, again, that an ordinance be adopted prior to submission of an ATESD municipal plan, and that the Connecticut Department of Transportation review and approve the ordinance. The North Haven, September 29, 2025, special town meeting adopted the required ordinance at Article 1 of Chapter 190, and that's a new chapter in your Code of Ordinances. And it took effect on October 29th, 2025, after being published. The DOT did review and approve the ordinance, and it is available for review in the town clerk's office and on the town website. The ordinance, this is a very important. The ordinance at the beginning authorizes the use of automated traffic enforcement safety devices at locations within school zones, pedestrian safety zones, and other places within the boundaries of North Haven, Connecticut, provided that the locations of such devices are identified in a plan submitted to and approved by the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Tonight, the plan that we're discussing only proposes school zone locations. It does not include any pedestrian safety zones or other places within the town. School zone is defined in the ordinance as an area designated by the Office of the State Traffic Administration, again, OSTA, or the traffic authority of the town, pursuant to Connecticut General Statute Section 14-212B. And again, your local traffic authority is your Board of Police Commissioners. Slide, please. So, if you could please open up the plan.
You have that here?
Yeah, it's on the. It's also in D, so if you go to the. It's at the top, it's the first one. So at page 15, so that he's scrolling down through the ordinance. At page 15 of the plan is where the COG Safety Action Plan, so that's your Council of Government. It was done by the engineers here in North Haven. Some of the agencies actually of your town often used as a traffic expert on land use applications. So the safety action plan, again, I'm not going to take you through all of it because it concerns the whole region. But at page 73, it does have a Vision Zero resolution, which the mayors and first selectmen did pass, and it indicates, I think it pretty much sums up what the concerns are here and why the statute was passed to allow the municipalities to pursue the use of speed cameras. The resolution says the following: to a commitment to the goal of zero traffic deaths following the principles of Vision Zero. Whereas crashes resulting in roadway deaths and serious injuries are preventable and not an inevitable result of the transportation system. And whereas, and I'm just going to say COG and its member municipalities strive to create a region that provides safe mobility for all. And whereas a commitment to Vision Zero is a commitment to the value and life of the residents of and visitors to the South Central Planning Region. And whereas the state of Connecticut has created a cross-agency Vision Zero Council to examine ways to improve roadway safety throughout the state, tasked with developing a statewide Vision Zero implementation plan and presenting data and targets to the legislature for their consideration. And whereas the number of fatalities and serious injuries in the region is a public health issue that must and can be addressed to ensure the well-being and benefit of our communities. And whereas Vision Zero is a data-driven strategy, that's important, data-driven, to eliminate all traffic fatalities and severe injuries while increasing safe, healthy, equitable mobility for all. And whereas improvements to roadway safety, especially for non-motorized users, aligns with the various metropolitan transportation plans, regional safety action plan, and governing policies of the Connecticut DOT. Whereas Vision Zero uses a safe systems approach to traffic engineering that recognizes that humans make mistakes and that transportation infrastructure should account for those mistakes. And whereas Vision Zero road safety goals are accomplished through a combination of engineering, education, emergency response, and enforcement measures. And whereas preventing crashes within the region requires a comprehensive response from all municipalities, the SCROG, and the Connecticut DOT that looks at transportation, planning, design, policy, enforcement, education, and communication in order to most greatly impact the flaws within our transportation system. And then the resolution follows on the next page. So I just point that out to you. This is a statewide effort to address what is happening on the roadways across the state, town, city. So it's important to keep in mind. And I'm sure, I know that there have been a number of articles about other communities, other municipalities going through this process of passing an ordinance and preparing their municipal plans. Those are available on the DOT website. I think I mentioned that when I presented the ordinance. So you can look at the content of all the municipal plans that are being reviewed by the state and being approved and enacted in the various committees. So in terms of, I just want to point out, and this is for the board's benefit in particular, because you're going to be voting on this. At page 83, there is a memo that was issued by OSTA regarding, it says, this memo explains why the South Central Regional Council of Governments Safety Action Plan, so again, that full plan that's contained in your municipal plan that was prepared through the COG, satisfies OSTA's requirement for a comprehensive safety action plan, regional transportation safety plan, and Vision Zero action plan as required by the ATESD program. So we do have that from OSTA, that the plan that was prepared through the COG for all the member municipalities, that it satisfy those requirements. So I think that that's important to point out. And there's some particular details with regard to that. Chief, if you could just go forward an additional page with the program references. Thank you, Chief. So this document was prepared by the consultant with regard to the program references. So where the Council of Governments Action Plan is being referenced. So I just wanted to draw your attention to that this is a separate document from that safety action plan, because the plan is correct, so I wanted to draw the Board of Selectmen. I'm not going to go through all the particulars of it. The citations are very specific therein, so you can see how, for instance, up front, the plan identification and purpose, how it's relevant to North Haven. So the relevance is noted each portion of the safety action plan to the town. So that is there. Another component of this, if you could just pass that to certification. We'll stay in here. Yes. So this is another requirement of the municipal plan submission, the automated traffic enforcement safety device municipal self-certification. It has been signed by Mr. Frieda as your first selectman. It indicates the following. I hereby certify that I have read sections 14-307B through 15-307H of the General Statutes of Connecticut concerning municipal use of automated traffic enforcement safety devices. I understand that the requirements associated with implementation of an ATESD program include, but are not limited to, the following. The municipality cannot install an ATESD until its ATSD plan has been approved by Connecticut DOT's Office of the State Traffic Administration, OSTA, that the municipality shall develop a public awareness campaign to educate the public concerning ATSDs, and that the campaign be implemented at least 30 days before the first ATSD is operational. So that's important to know that you have that to look forward to. The municipality may enter into agreements with vendors for the design, installation, operation, or maintenance, or any combination thereof of automated traffic enforcement safety devices. If a vendor designs, installs, operates, or maintains an automated traffic enforcement safety device, the vendor's fee may not be contingent on the number of citations issued or fines paid. We talked about that when the ordinance was presented for consideration by the special town meeting. For the first 30 days, the ATESD is operational. Only a written warning can be issued by the municipality. After 30 days, the municipality may establish a fine not more than $50 for a first violation and not more than $75 for a second or subsequent violation. The municipality may impose a reasonable fee not to exceed $15 for the costs associated with the electronic processing of payment of any such fine. Again, a couple of components that are in the ordinance and were talked about previously. Any funds, this is important, any funds received by municipality from fines imposed shall be used for the purposes of improving transportation mobility, investing in transportation infrastructure improvements, or paying the costs associated with the use of automated traffic enforcement safety devices in the municipality. And the municipality shall ensure each ATESD undergoes an annual calibration check performed at a calibration laboratory. The calibration laboratory shall issue a signed certificate of calibration after the annual calibration check. So this is acknowledging some of the key portions of the statute, of the requirements of the plan, and the DOT. It does, in fact, have a checklist of guidance of components, and this is part of it. Next, we have the agenda and minutes from a special meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners that was held on January 29th. And they did item number 5 on the agenda, indicates traffic A, designation of school zones. So you'll recall that I pointed out to you in the beginning of the presentation tonight that your ordinance does provide that the local traffic authority can designate school zones. So it's either OSTA or the local traffic authority. So the town has had a presentation provided to, if you go to page 2, Chief.
Page 2?
Yeah. So these minutes are quite lengthy. Oh, no, page 2 of the minutes, I'm so sorry.
In the
Where
PowerPoint?
you were, no, where you were, just scrolling down to the minutes of the,
If you go back to the police commissioners meeting,
yeah,
right?
just scroll a little bit.
What was that?
I think it's around page 9.
It's immediately following this self-certification.
Almost there, Chief. Actually, I went to open the page numbers. Yes, there we go. Okay. So you'll see on page 2 of the minutes, if you could just go forward, a traffic sergeant. The town does have a traffic sergeant, somebody who is specifically assigned to deal with traffic issues, and he was instrumental in gathering the data that you see in the report. I'm sure the chief will talk a little bit about that. So he did provide to the Board of Police Commissioners, again, your local traffic authority, an extensive report. And the 6 school zones that we're going to talk about later in terms of the details and the justification, why they're being designated in the municipal plan, were specifically discussed with the Board of Police Commissioners. And so they did see all the data and the details with regard to the justification for why, again, the school zones are being proposed in this first municipal plan of the town. So I'm not going to take you through all of it, but as I indicated, they first addressed Clintonville Elementary School, and Ridge Road Elementary School, Green Acres, the high school, Monowese, and then the middle school. And they did vote to establish the school zones and memorialize the zones as well. Moving on, the application for approval of speed limit. I'm sorry.
Following this.
Yeah. Do you want to address? Explain why?
Sure. So this is the application to OSTA as far as Clintonville School goes. So as it was explained, our local traffic authority is a Board of Police Commissioners. So they have the authority to designate school zones in North Haven. What we had found was we had a lot of schools that had school zone signage, but we had no historical documentation that they were actually school zones either by our commission or by the state of Connecticut. So we brought that to our police commission, who have since voted on it and memorialized each location as a school zone, with the exception of Clintonville School for at the moment. And the reason there is that Clintonville School currently is a 40-mile-per-hour area in front of the school. In speaking with our traffic sergeant, I agreed with him that we didn't think it was appropriate to have a school zone at 40 miles per hour. We think that it should be lower in front of Clintonville School. So we have asked the state to consider reducing a 0.2-mile area in front of Clintonville School to a 30-mile-per-hour speed limit. Upon the state doing that, we will then ask our police commission to designate that 0.2-mile span in front of Clintonville School as a school zone. We didn't think it made sense to have a school zone at 40. People would be able to do 50 in a school zone and not receive a ticket because we were going to be doing 11 or over. So we didn't think that that made sense. So for Clintonville School, it is pending as far as reduction on the speed limit, and then our commission would officially memorialize Clintonville School as a school zone as well.
So next, you'll recall when I spoke about the table of contents, the next page start really the data portion and the justification portion of the plan, and we see this is subsection the general municipal data, the number of traffic stops, the equity data, and then the qualified census tract information, which is required as well. So you'll see that how much the number of traffic stops increased in 2024 and 2025. So for each school zone, and they are in alphabetical order within the report, so for each school zone, and Clintonville is in here, because it is part of the municipal plan. Once we're assuming that the DOT will approve the change in speed limit. Once that occurs, as the chief indicated, the Board of Police Commissioners, I keep wanting to say local traffic authority, I apologize, because they are. The Board of Police Commissioners will vote on designating Clintonville School, okay, as a school zone. So I'm not going to take you through all of the content of this. Again, I'm so sorry.
Maybe again, just for benefit of people watching on TV, and also here too, just I think the exception for Clintonville is it's on Route 22, which is a state highway, and we don't control the speed. I just wanted to make that clear.
No, that's a very good point. Thank you.
It's different than other school zones that are on North Haven roads that we control the speed. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to make sure that people understood the exception.
It is an
I'm sorry to
important, no, not at all. It is a very important point. Absolutely. Thank you. So for each school zone within the plan, and again, there are 6, starting alphabetically with Clintonville, there is first an executive summary. Okay, so a site selection justification. And I'm going to go through those because I think that's important. But Clintonville Road is a state road that runs east and west through our town and services large volumes of passenger and commercial traffic. The stretch of roadway near Clintonville Elementary School and Sachem Drive sees an uptick in volume during peak school arrival and dismissal times with student drop-offs, pickups, faculty, and school bus traffic. This stretch of Clintonville Road is a straight 2-lane highway which allows ample room to accelerate beyond the posted speed limit. This creates a precarious situation for vehicles attempting to exit the school from Sachem Drive onto Clintonville Road, and with the history of accidents both at this intersection and other intersections in close proximity, this site qualifies as a good candidate for traffic speed cameras. So after the executive summary, site selection justification for each school zone, there is a purpose, and then comes the data. And you'll see that the data includes location information, so it does provide what the speed limit will be, and there are some small minor revisions that we need to do. One of the things we will do is just have some sort of asterisk or something to indicate that the current speed is 40 and the proposed speed is 30. But location type, again, that goes to what is authorized under the statute and authorized through the ordinance, so it is a school zone, and the crash history, the traffic data, and traffic stop data. Then on the next page, there is the roadway geometry, which is, of course, an important consideration when we're talking about traffic safety. And then we see where the signs currently are posted to. And then on the next page, there's a discussion of why it is a school zone. It's appropriate to designate it as a school zone. A discussion regarding pedestrian safety. And then the traffic calming measures that have already been implemented, you'll see. And so for the next 5 school zones, you see a similar presentation because these are all requirements of the plan. And next, we're going to just take a look at the signage plan. And I don't know, Chief, did you want to talk about the signage plan?
I can. So each location will have 2 signs in each direction, warning motorists that photo speed enforcement is in the area. We're also reviewing to make sure all our additional signage is clearly visible, or if it's worn and needs to be updated, that's also going to be done. But the big factor as far as the automated program goes is that there'll be 2 signs in each direction telling motorists that as they approach that there's photo speed enforcement coming ahead. And that'll be at every location. You won't be able to go past it without running into 2.
So if I can just follow up on that here. So for those watching on TV, we had this public meeting back, I think it was September was mentioned. And, there was some feedback that maybe it's an overreach with government, okay? The reality of this situation is as follows, that if there's already signage there, and I used myself as an example back then, if Mike Frieda goes through a speed zone and he sees the sign and he goes through and is still speeding, I use myself as an example, I deserve the ticket. And I'll be the first one to pay the ticket. So this is less about earning money. It's more about stopping this insidious trend across the state of Connecticut where we see this reckless driving on roadways, side streets, major thoroughways, I-91, and this is a bipartisan effort. Jennifer talked about the Council of Governments. There's 15 of us that we work very closely together, and I'm also very friendly with the other councils of governments. Everybody that I've talked to is on board with this, including the Attorney General, who came to one of our press conferences that I was at. So it's a bipartisan effort to slow speeding down, because one of the most major problems in the town of North Haven and other cities and towns is reckless driving and speeding. And our goal is to curb that through the implementation in the first few phases of this program.
I would also just add, I believe that in addition to the two signs in each direction, apps like Waze and Google Maps will show you that there's photo speed enforcement ahead. So if you were driving in your vehicle, like some of you may see now, accident ahead, you would be getting a notification, photo enforcement ahead. So there's multiple layers to this, trying to warn the public that it's coming. So the goal is you get the warning and you slow down so our children and people in the school zone are safe.
Forgive me, but Chief, I think you also mentioned that you don't issue a citation unless you're 11 or above?
It'll be 11 or above for North Haven.
That's a
The
generous-
ordinance allows 10 or greater. We're going to go with 11.
11. It's a very generous amount of additional
think
miles
so.
per hour. So to your point, if you're approaching a sign, you're on notice that there's a camera there, and you're still 11 plus miles over the speed limit, a ticket is coming.
Yeah, I think at a certain point we all have to hold ourselves accountable.
Correct.
So, you're getting warning, and
Yeah.
at that point, whether it was intentional or a mistake, we're all held accountable to our actions.
Right.
One other thing I'd like to say, because, we're pro-police here in North Haven. My officers are there now. Andrew and I work very closely together. I have their backs, and I know a lot of people in town. And many of them are my friends, personal friends. They've said to me, how come the police can't do this? Why do you need cameras? And my response is, the police do everything they can to protect the citizens of North Haven. This is out of control, ladies and gentlemen. There's over 750,000 cars and trucks coming through the town of North Haven every day. The notion that the police department should be stopping everybody in town. We have situations where the police department are issuing speeding tickets, and people are speeding by them as the police are giving tickets. So it's impossible to think or to expect that the North Haven Police Department can manage that without some kind of support that we're presenting here tonight.
And I would say that the key word there is support. What this does is it supplements our enforcement efforts that are already taking place. This doesn't replace police officers from writing tickets. It supplements us so we can now be in other areas, because we're not going to blanket the whole town with devices like this. But it allows us to be in other areas to focus on other things. I'll give you an example. If we were running radar at the middle school, if there's an officer out there and he pulls the car over and he is writing a ticket or giving a warning, for that brief encounter, let's say it's 10 to 15 minutes, well, who's running radar for those 15 minutes in that span in front of the school while he's doing that? Nobody. And it doesn't make sense for me to have 2-3 police officers in one location every morning, every afternoon, just to enforce speed when we can get supportive help from devices like this and allow our people to be in other areas addressing other problems in town. So it supplements what we're already trying to do, in addition to what you've seen with narrowing roadways or rumble strips or cutting back vegetation for sight lines. So this is all part of a layered approach to just try and curtail speeding in various parts of town. And we figured that our youth and our children are our most vulnerable and valuable members of society. So we would start this program with our school zones, not only to protect them, protect their parents who are there to pick them up, people who are attending after school events, as well as our crossing guards and other people that use our school facilities for athletic fields or walking and whatnot. So we don't see much of a drawback in this program, especially when there is one way to avoid being ticketed, and that is to reduce your speed.
And to the point, this is all data driven too. These gentlemen here are our consultants. If you look in the back of this report for each school, you did I think maybe 4 or 5 days of 5 days where you put up a camera and you just check speeds. And obviously you weren't issuing citations during that period. Some of these numbers are astounding about how many folks are speeding through these zones during school hours. I mean, this was done over school and non-school hours, but it's really, so this is a really data-driven analysis that you have here. And I think the other important point here as well for folks is that part of this program also has an opportunity for people to have a hearing once they have a citation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That folks we're not taking people's due process away, that folks can, if they disagree with a citation and they think that there are multiple defenses that are laid out in this program, which would be legitimate defenses. And there's of course more, right? You can't cover every defense, but there's an opportunity for every resident in town or whoever's issued a citation to approach the police department, who will have a specific individual who is designated as that control officer.
Yes, and it will not be a police officer.
And it will not be a police officer, which is important.
It is going to be an attorney who is a local attorney, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is the intention.
That's a good point, Dave.
And so this hearing opportunity, like any ticket, right? If you get a ticket on any roadway, you have an opportunity to plead guilty or not guilty and have a hearing. So we are going to run this program the exact same way. And so I think it's no different than any other enforcement mechanism that you might have in town that's backed up by significant data. And I hope folks take an opportunity to read through the data, because you would be surprised about how many people are speeding just over this 5-day period. And so I think with all of these, this is a mechanism, and we've put in a lot of things around this mechanism, the 11 plus on the speed limit, the hearing opportunity, the data behind this. This is a well thought out program, and I first want to say thank you to the consultants on this, and thank you to the chief and the department. But this is a very well conceived and considered program, and so I don't mean to. I know we're going to talk about this later, but it's important to recognize that people do have an opportunity to engage with this program and read it, and I encourage everyone to do that, and it does protect your rights as well.
So that was a great segue to last one.
Great. We didn't plan that segue.
Yeah, we didn't plan that at all.
Yeah.
And
We
since-
didn't talk beforehand.
Maybe just give me 2 seconds to chime in as well. I live off of, my children went to Clintonville. I live on Bassett Road, which actually has, and Mill Road, have another 2 schools, which we don't have in the list yet. Actually 3 schools, Quinnipiac, and then ACES on Bassett and ACES on Mill. And the reality is that...
Temple Street.
Pardon?
Aces on Temple Street also.
Yep, another ACES as well. Yep, very good point. So, I think we have other locations, and the reality on Bassett is that the majority of people who are speeding on Bassett on the 22 are not North Haven residents. They're using Washington Avenue to Blakesley to Bassett as a cut-through to Route 22, one way or the other. That's why they're speeding. They're not North Haven residents. So I think, especially on a major route like 22, and maybe some of the other major routes in town, like Ridge, maybe State Street, I think we're going to find that a lot of the people who are speeding don't live in North Haven. And they're just whipping, down our roads, violating our speed limits and endangering. I walk on those roads where they're like Bassett and Blakesley, and there are no sidewalks in certain areas. I've walked on 22 on Clintonville with my dog, and you have to be very cautious about what you're doing and where you are, because people aren't paying attention as they're whipping down the roads. So I think this is a start. The schools are a good start, but there may be other areas where I think traffic laws are being violated, and a lot of it has to do with GPS. People are using that to avoid the lights like on Washington Avenue. And the chief knows that, and I think in terms of, not only But I'm sorry.
That's a great point, I think, so absolutely. The last point, because I'm not gonna take you through for each individual, it's there, if anybody like to talk or look at anything specific as far as the other, I did identify the other 5 school zones that have been designated. So, with regard to this plan, if the town desires to add more zones, the plan has to be amended. So the town has to go through the process again. There will be another public hearing. So that process that you emphasized, it starts again. People have another opportunity to offer input. Momentarily, the public is going to be asked for comments. You're going to be able to comment if there are additional zones that are proposed.
Yeah.
So
I think that's great. It's exactly what the people are, that's their role their legislative purpose.
And one more thing too, folks may remember that the town meeting also passed a school bus enforcement ordinance. There have been a number, I just point this out as another issue around schools and with buses specifically, and the routes that buses take. There have been many articles in the newspaper about municipalities starting their enforcement of their school bus ordinances, and the numbers are astounding. And I know North Haven in 1 week had a chief.
So it's in the school bus arm enforcement has been going, I want to say roughly maybe a month and a half. We're still in the warning phase. And when I last spoke with our traffic sergeant, they had over 300 violations. Not every one was a violation that we were comfortable with approving because, there is an element of discretion. The arm is still swinging, the car is driving, and we're erring on the side of the motorist. So if we feel that it's right there on the line, we're not going to give the ticket. But of those 300, about half of them, our traffic sergeant was comfortable that a violation did occur. So you're looking at 150 violations in about a month and a half. So it's more than we expected when it comes to a school bus violation. It's pretty egregious to pass a standing school bus.
Chief, during the during this warning, because I know we're also having a 30-day warning period for these zones.
Yes.
How do you deal with the motorist in that case? What do? Do you reach out? Do you have a conversation?
So they're going to receive what would look like a citation in the mail if this program was live, up and running, but it'll clearly let them know that it is a warning. They do not need to pay any monetary fine, but it'll have all the other elements of what the citation will look like. There would be a photograph, the listed speed, but it'll be clear that this occurred during the warning period and no fine or response is required.
And the school bus program is not yet live? It is still in a warning
It
period?
is in the warning phase in the moment, yes.
Okay. Got it.
It's the owner that receives the citation.
It is the
That-
registered
We
owner.
talked about it at the town meeting
Registered
Yeah.
owner of the
previously.
vehicle.
Not
Right,
the-
that's a
Whoever may be the
defense to
driver,
the...
we
yeah.
don't necessarily know.
Correct, it goes off of DMV information, so it's the registered owner.
I just have a question. I think this, the document, the self-certification, I think that's a really helpful document because it kind of lays out the process here. On the process side, if I'm correct, we are, if you can turn to that document, if you don't mind, it's right before the police commissioner's meeting minutes. I don't have a page number, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's before the data. Yeah, there, you're getting up to it, yeah. Right there, I think. Yep. Oh, it's okay. You got it. So this, I think for folks who are looking at this and folks who are watching this, you probably can't see this, but if you check this out, this is actually a really good timeline of what is going to happen here. And I think that we are right before the first bullet. Is that correct?
Yes.
So the first bullet, if you don't mind, just for folks watching and in the room here, The municipality cannot install an ATESD until its plan has been approved by the Department of Transportation. So I think we are right before that, right? We are now approving the plan. I'm sorry, we are now voting on the plan and saying, yes, it is ready to be submitted and approved and reviewed. So submitted and reviewed and hopefully approved. So that is where we are at right now in this process. Is that correct?
Yes, and I will point out, it's my understanding that there are some plans that the DOT has rejected. So OSTA is looking very closely at these.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
So there are some that have been returned and reworked in some communities. So they are, this is not a rubber stamping.
Right.
They're being very cautious about it. They're checking to make sure that the data is appropriate to support what's being proposed.
And that we've otherwise complied with the statute.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so our role tonight is to discuss and then approve so that you can go ahead and then submit the plan for approval by the state.
Just one additional item too. Part of the resolution is to authorize some minor revisions, so it wouldn't be anything significant.
Right.
Because there are some things that we did note. There's always that.
Right, we give you and
So,
Chief the opportunity
yeah.
to make
So
tweaks as necessary.
We want to make sure, it's as perfect can be.
Right, right. Okay, that makes sense to me. I'm sorry, I feel like we interrupted your flow. You were...
No, not at all. No. I think you want to hear from the public, so I don't think you need to hear my voice.
Terrific.
All right, we'll open this up to some public comment here. Very White.
Mary White, Summer Lane. Do the cameras only take pictures when a vehicle is traveling over 11 miles per hour?
Yes, my understanding, it's only captured if you're in violation of the settings that we establish. So if you're 9 under, it's not going to have your vehicle's image.
Okay.
Can I speak to that for a second?
Sure.
In the ordinance and in the statute, you have to calibrate these cameras to that number. So, and they have to be calibrated on a regular basis.
Annually, I heard.
Yes, so this, I think, the Chiefs think you would set it at, if it's 30, you'd set it at 41.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. What do the cameras look like?
I don't know if we have a photo here.
Would you like an aluminum pole or a black pole?
I'm just curious, just a
I don't have a
Just a-
photo of it.
I do it
just a
on-
general description.
Kevin has one. Yeah, I have one somewhere. It's a pole.
It's a pole?
Camera. It's got a little box and a camera.
Box on a pole. Okay. About how tall is the pole?
It's dependent on the road and the requirements, so it's.
Is there a max?
Too bad I can't display this. I can everybody see this? Oh, okay, there you go.
Oh, okay.
So this is a Middletown.
No, that's Middletown.
That's not ours.
Ours are a little bit different. So that's, as a matter of fact, this is in Warwick, Rhode Island, that the plows were kind enough to strike.
Oh.
And kind of knocked it out of alignment, so
This is
we
the design.
had to go out and fix it today. I'm trying to find one where it's got the hole. It's a pole.
It's a pole.
Yeah, it's a steel pole with a cement base, and it has, you see cameras on either side and other devices, and they're directional, so they only measure in one direction. So each location will have 2 cameras, one in each direction.
Okay.
Correct.
And the power source is it solar or?
It's electric.
It is electric?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Solar's tough in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Okay. So my last question is, so this first plan is for school zones. Do we know if there is a future plan for problem speeding areas other than school zones?
So right now, we're just starting with the schools, but we have to see where it's go. So certainly it could expand, but that wouldn't happen without conversation with the community, looking at traffic data from our sergeant who runs traffic. And then, like was mentioned, we'd have this whole process all over again to receive public input and to discuss it. So it could expand, but there's also no guarantee. It may just remain with the school zones, and that's it.
Okay, and so relative to that, I thought I heard something at the January's meeting where it was stated that the legislation that was passed in Hartford covers the cameras in the school zones. And if you went outside, it wouldn't cover. Did I understand that incorrectly?
No, we don't have to be held just to school zones.
Okay.
We could do other zones, but we felt that school zones was an appropriate starting point to
Okay.
kind of build this and kind of, almost, I don't want to say a pilot program, but build this in our school zones and see how well we manage it and how it's received by the community, and then we can make informed decisions from there about other locations.
Okay, so there's no limitation with the legislation that was passed regarding communities being able to install these cameras in this system?
Not that I'm...
There's limitations.
Oh, there is limitations?
There's limitations according to census.
Yeah,
tracts.
which we have none in, as far as I recall, there were no census tracts in North Haven. I think that's a part of what you had on your plan, Jen,
Yes,
where North Haven didn't have any qualifying census tracts, so.
yes,
Okay.
in that general data. But if you want to take a look at the particulars, it is in Chapter 249.
Chief, or would you explain what you mean by the census tract for folks who may not understand what you mean?
It would be, and I misspeak a little bit here, but it's an area within town where I believe 50% or more of the population has a median income below a certain standard. So it would be to prevent trying to put up devices like this in areas that have been identified as perhaps lower income or
Yeah.
impoverished. So it tries to prevent putting these in areas where people may be struggling financially.
So that's a great point, and the reason it's a great point you raised. So one of the things that this program, and it's in here, and it's part of the equity component of the program, and it does specifically what Chief is talking about is any historically disadvantaged community, be it through low income or any other number of categories. The idea is they don't want departments just putting cameras in those places, which would make those areas subject to greater scrutiny than they have been historically, but they didn't want to perpetuate that. So these census tracts are actually part of this program from an equity perspective. It's a great question, and thank you, Chief.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mayor. Okay, Susan.
Just to clarify something else that's been said, many of the speed zones, school speed zones, are 30 miles per hour. But for instance, I'm looking at Montawees, it's 25.
Yes.
So just to clarify for everybody listening, current speed limit, the regular speed limit is 35, but the school zone is 25. And I think that's true for Ridge as well, except for the other route, it's 35 and 35.
Correct.
So the speeds will be, and we talked about Clintonville at 30, 40 to 30 because it's a state road back to the regular state limit.
Right.
So it may not be 30 uniformly, but it'll be posted correctly at either
Yes.
30 or 25, depending on the location.
Susan.
So just pay attention to the signs.
Hi, Sue Benvenuti, Bassett Road. My question was, has the state already been, the process already been started to contact the state about lowering the speed limit in that 2-mile area?
Yes.
They already have been? Okay.
Yes.
Because then I was going to say, why isn't it reduced to 25? Because I travel a state road in Guilford, and they do 25 right by the school zone, right there. And I didn't know why we weren't going to 25, because that's always been a school zone.
Sure.
So, okay, but if the process already is going on, it doesn't matter. The other question I have is, why doesn't Clintonville exit through Satcham Road the other way instead of trying to make a left on Clintonville every single day? If your entrance was off of Clintonville, you're taking a right. If your exit's coming through that back road, you're eliminating a lot of this. I travel 22 often. I never understood when I go to vote why we do this. Because number one, you're coming down the hill, the traffic coming from the left is coming down the hill, and the traffic coming from the right is kicking their gears up because they just went over train traffic. That, I just don't know, just my little questions out there, so.
So I think it's a good question. It might be for something outside the scope of this program to discuss, but it's something I could certainly bring back to our traffic division. And I want to have a talk with the Board of Ed as well. There could be things that we're not thinking about as far as congestion now in that neighborhood, because people are going to have 15 buses going past their house every day rather than going out onto 22. There could be various reasons why.
Right.
But it's certainly a good question and something I can bring up.
It's been my concern for years here, and I didn't know why it happened that way. And I was just, why wouldn't we use the back road to leave instead of trying to make that left?
Sure.
So, all right.
And Sachem is 25, by the way. We're there, it'll be on
Correct.
22.
Yes.
If you look at the documentation, and I know from going down Sachem, it's 25.
Yeah, and that was one of the areas that the commission approved as a school zone, even though there won't be cameras there, a span on Sachem with a 25-mile-per-hour limit.
Is the camera going to be on Sachem too, or no?
There will not be cameras on Sachem, they'll be
Just
only on 22.
But I think, there's very little, I think, other than people who live there and parents picking up kids, I think there's very little traffic going down Sachem other than, for people who are careful because of living there with their kids. So it's kind of a different scenario than out on 22.
Yeah.
I think it's a much more heavily traveled road with people speeding.
Ed?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ed.
Hi, my name is Ed Reinholtz. I live off of Bassett, and there's like weird things because if you're trying to go left on Bassett, they're working on clearing most of the shrubbery down there. There's nothing that says school zone in front of the Aces, which I live right around the corner from there. But back in 2012, my car was totaled at the light at Bassett and Clintonville, and with a little touching out to a bunch of different groups, I got that. It's basically a working light, but if you drive there at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, if you've got the red light, it will automatically turn green if there's no traffic coming, which it's a good feature. But they should put a traffic light at Clintonville schools, which would be operational during school days between the hours of 7 in the morning to like 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, depending. And so it would be easier for people to get out of that thing, because if you have cars flying up Clintonville or down Clintonville, you have to have the perfect opportunity where you have a certain amount of distance to get out of that parking lot. When I go there for election day, sometimes I wait 5 minutes just to go home. I only live around the corner. And there should be like a light that's only working during school hours, so that if cars have to go in and out, because cars fly up at Clintonville Road. The day when I got into the accident, the lady wasn't paying attention. She was going Mill Road. She was trying to go down. She ended up hitting my car because she hit some elderly man's car. This was at like 10:30 at night because I was on my way to work. It was a flashing light. And then it was like, then the girl was like, she was on her phone or something. I don't know what exactly happened, but she hit my car, totaled my car. And then it was like, I wasn't depressed or anything like that, but then I did write a few emails, and the light got fixed, so it was a working light when I went to work at night. Because I'm always cautious. If the light's flashing, I'm going to wait till the intersection clears before I try to approach to go wherever I have to go. And I was basically using that light when I was on my way, using the back roads to go to my job.
Our next set of cameras will detect when you're on your phone. That's our next set of cameras.
Huh?
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
No, I don't. No, I don't physically use my phone when I'm driving.
Good. That's a good.
I just use waves, but then there's people that yeah, I hear at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, I hear freaking cars flying up 91 because literally right down the street from the highway, and it's crazy. You hear, and then you hear a crash, and then you're like, okay. And then the last few nights, I heard some fireworks and some other stuff, but it's like crazy.
All right, Ed. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks. Good seeing you. Any other comments? Jerry Feinberg.
Good evening, Jerry Feinberg, 34 Brockett Farm Road. So I want to pick on something that Selectman Piper brought up. If I read this correctly, the speed limit in the school zone on Harper Turnpike is going to be 35 miles per hour, and we've got 30 on Route 22. And it just seemed to me to be inconsistent that we would have a higher speed limit on Hartford Turnpike. So I'm curious as to the reason why we're doing that.
So there were, as Jen mentioned, some changes that we have to make. I'm not sure if that's one of them, but there
Okay.
was where I believe Ridge Road and Hartford Turnpike may be jumbled, so that it may come down. I don't want to misspeak tonight, but I can get back to you on that. And I can also consult our traffic sergeant how we came to the 30 as far as Clintonville goes.
It seems to me it would make sense if we have a consistent speed, at least if it's 25 or 30, so that people get conditioned to knowing what speed they have to keep
I
within.
may have some of it. So you're asking for Hartford Turnpike, which
Yeah.
it's listed as a 35, you said?
I think that's what I saw, and I believe that...
The last 2 pages of the report, Chief. Do you want me to?
Yeah, it looks like 35 on Hartford, but Ridge, I think, is 25.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so the last, Ridge you have 25, and then Hartford is 35.
It's 35.
Yes. The speed limit for Hartford Turnpike, it should be 35 for Hartford Turnpike. And the speed limit for Ridge should be 25.
Yeah.
right. And again, if you're going to have 30 on Route 22, which is a heavily traveled road, and I mean Hartford Turnpike, it's a straight shot. It would seem to me that if you're going to drop the speed, you would drop it to 30.
It's something we can bring back to our commission.
And you can blame me for it.
Yeah, they would want to see some data and do a study, and then our LTA would be able to reduce it if they felt it was appropriate. So it's
Okay.
something I can mention to the traffic division.
All right, thanks, Chief. All right, now, since the meeting where we passed the ordinance, I've been kind of struggling to stay within 10 miles of the speed limit. It's hard to drive 40, and I think it's even harder to drive 40 at night for people like Ed, I think, who said he works either a second or third shift. So I'm curious. Can we set this system, since the purpose is to provide a safe environment for kids, can we set these so that they don't operate between, let's say, 8 at night and 6 in the morning? That way people who are working second or third shift, maybe they're a little bit tired, they hit 42 miles an hour, they're not going to get whacked with a ticket. Is there a time of day feature that can be employed with these?
There is, but I wouldn't want to encourage,
Yeah, we
I
don't
don't
want
want you to get hurt either, though.
We don't want to see people that
Yeah.
feel like they have to drive slow only during the hours of 8 to 4, and then they can speed at
All right.
5 p.m. So
Just
we think it should just be consistent. When you're in a school zone, you need to slow down. There's a lot of after-school events. I'm sure there's probably something going on at North Haven High School right now where there's children and their families pulling out of the parking lot. So we think it's most appropriate to just maintain it constant.
Okay. Now, another observation that I have, there are various locations in town where there are solar-powered digital radar-driven signs. If you're doing 27 miles an hour, you see it on the sign. Is there any reason why we can't put up those signs where these school zones are, in addition to a sign that's hanging on a pole, especially at night, that people might miss, versus a digital sign that says you're doing 45 miles an hour and it's going to, oops, I'm going too fast? Just a suggestion. I think it would be helpful to the public, and it would be in the spirit of the purpose for these speed cameras.
And we have. Those signs move around periodically, and I'm sure that we've placed them in school zones, but they don't always curtail poor behavior because they don't really come with any meat behind them, because you can do 70 past it and you're not going to get a citation 4 days later in the mail.
So I'm not suggesting that we replace the cameras with those signs. What I'm suggesting is that we have a permanent digital, whatever that device is called, at each one of the locations where we've got a camera, so that people will see as they're approaching the school zone what their speed is, and hopefully it'll cause them to decrease their speed. So is that something that would be feasible?
Permanent at each location, I wouldn't want to commit to that tonight, just from a cost and budgeting standpoint. They're not inexpensive devices. There's a cost for those, so permanently, I wouldn't want to commit to that. The ones that we have that are mobile, I'm sure that we may be able to move them around to some of these school zones, but I wouldn't want to commit to you tonight that we would put a permanent one at every location.
Just a suggestion, maybe you can consider it, or the department can consider a test. Run the cameras for a few months, see how many tickets are being generated, and then put these signs up in 1 or 2 locations and see if there's a diminishment in the number of tickets. Because if that's the case, we don't want to get tickets, we want people to slow down.
Right.
Okay. Last meeting, when the ordinance was passed, there were some discussions of the terms of our arrangement with Ultimate. And my memory was that there was something had been worked out with the Capital Region COG. So I went on their website, I looked it up, I see that Ultimate and 2 other vendors are pre-qualified, and then I actually contacted one of their traffic engineers to see if I could get a copy of the whatever agreement there is. And the email that I got back saying that there were no numbers, dollars and cents attached to the pre-qualification that these folks had applied for. And we've been told that there's a fee arrangement to pay Ultimate, and that we're going to be held harmless if they don't collect enough revenue through the ticks. Is there in fact a contract or a memorandum of understanding or a later agreement between the town of North Haven and Ultimate that spell all this out? And if there is, how can the public get a copy of it?
Sure. So I do have, there's a rider addendum between the town of North Haven and Ultimate. It's been signed by the CRO of Ultimate as well as our Director of Finance. I'm not going to read all of it, but what I can tell you, there is a section here, Exhibit A, where it mentions cost neutrality. And the last line here, Ultimate has a no cost to taxpayer guarantee. This technology program will always be violator funded.
Okay. Would it be possible to put that on the town website alongside this plan so that people can see it?
I think so. I'm sure it's FOIable, so we can...
to save me from putting in an FOI request.
I have no problem.
Okay. Thanks for the time, and hopefully this is going to work out the way it's designed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks.
Any other comments? Mrs. Barrett.
Nancy Barrett, Custody Drive. I just have a quick question. You had mentioned that if at any point you want to add additional zones, that it will have to go to a town meeting and so forth. But what if you just want to increase the time period for which this is in effect? Because I'm just concerned about Ridge Road and Hartford Turnpike. The traffic there is not just related to the schools. I personally see it on a daily basis. It's much more related to commuter traffic. And I see people doing 50, 55 miles an hour on Hartford Turnpike, particularly going down that
It's
hill.
going to be on all the time.
Oh, okay. I thought there was a specific
No, this will be 24/7.
time period, like 7 a.m. to
No.
4 p.m.
No,
Okay.
these are going to be on all the time.
So all the time, 7 days a week?
Yes.
Okay. And if at some point you decide to change the speed limit of any given roadway, this will just automatically shift along with that by 11 points?
Yeah, we've committed that we were going to do 11 over, so if the speed limit changes, that would be the same.
And is there some process that you'd have to go through for
Well,
that?
the LTA sets the speed limits, so our local traffic authority would have to either reduce or increase the speed limit.
And then this would just automatically?
And then from there, we would have the vendors that ultimate change the settings where
Right.
it now is 11 or more off of the new speed limit.
But we wouldn't need to go to a town meeting or anything like that?
It's not my
That would just be a
interpretation, no.
minor
It's an
minor
internal
change.
setting, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Yeah, because the ordinance allows us at 10 or more, so it's pretty much up to us, I believe, at that point.
Right, but
regardless
if
of-
you shift one, then obviously the other
Right,
has to go with
yeah.
it. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
We would not need to get approval from the state to change the speed limit if we wanted to.
On a local road, no.
Just on the 22, obviously.
On 22, that's why we've asked them to reduce the speed. On a local road, our local traffic authority will do that, which is the Board of
It's only if we
Supervisors.
get a new location do we have to go back to the state.
Yes.
Thanks for clarifying that. That's good.
All right, thank you everyone for the nice and the good comments. Any other questions? All right, we'll move on. Okay, so. Resolved.
Number 3 on our agenda is to consider and vote upon a resolution to approve the Town of North Haven, Connecticut Automated Traffic Enforcement Safety Device, TESD, Municipal Plan, prepared pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes, Section 14-307E, and to authorize the police chief and town attorney to review and approve any necessary minor corrections or revisions to the municipal plan prior to its submission to the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Resolved that following a public hearing on the Town of North Haven, Connecticut Automated Traffic Enforcement Safety Device, ATSD, municipal plan prepared pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes, Section 14-307E, the municipal plan is approved and the police and town attorney are authorized to review and approve any necessary minor corrections or revisions to the municipal plan prior to its submission to the Connecticut Department of Transportation. I'll make that resolution.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll call for that vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
You thought we were going to speak.
Oh, no. We're good. We're good. All right, so we'll move now to the next item. Public comments relative to this agenda. All right, seeing none, hearing none, we'll move to item number 6. The approval of the minutes of January 5th, 2026, the Board of Selectmen Budget Workshop Meeting. Is there a motion?
A motion for that approval of those minutes?
I'll second.
All right, motion and second. Any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right,
Number 7.
item
Motion
number
for
7.
approval of the minutes of the February 5th, 2026 Board of Selectmen meeting.
Second.
Motion to approve those minutes?
All right, we have a motion and a second.
I seconded before the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it was my fault.
Smokey Robinson, second that motion. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. We're going to move past item number 8. We basically wanted to cover this there, but we already covered that. So now we'll move to item number 9. Who would like to handle that?
Bill? Yeah.
Please.
Sure. Consider, so this is number 9 on our agenda, consider and act upon a resolution recommending a $400,000 appropriation and bond authorization for interior renovations to Memorial Town Hall. So I'll read the resolution now, and Michael, after the resolution, we'll have opportunity to discuss it. So, the resolution resolved that the Board of Selectmen recommends that the Town of North Haven appropriate $400,000 for interior renovations to Memorial Town Hall. The project shall consist of asbestos abatement, exterior masonry restoration, electrical modifications, and other related improvements and repairs. The appropriation may be spent for design, demolition, and construction costs. equipment, materials, engineering fees, other consultants' fees, legal fees, net temporary interest, and other financing costs, and other expenses related to the project, and that the town issue bonds or notes and temporary notes in an amount not to exceed $400,000 to finance the appropriation. The total amount of bonds issued shall be reduced by the amount of grants or other funds received and not separately appropriated for the project.
All right, this was spoken about at the Board of Finance meeting. This is kind of an extension of what we're doing at Town Hall. I'm happy to report that most of the Finance Department now has moved downstairs to the basement of Town Hall. That's been totally renovated. We have 2 more financial people coming over. At that point, we'll move the EOC from the Police Department, the Emergency Operating Center, back to the annex where the where the Finance Department has been. And then we are now working to improve the second floor of Town Hall, and then Valerie, myself, and Tammy will be moving into the top floor. It's maybe about 40% completed right now. Part of this money goes to that, and we're hoping to be in there sometime by mid-April, the latest, perhaps the first week of April, but right now we're still in the police department. So basically, we're trying to improve a lot of the town buildings. Town Hall has always been last, so we wanted to make sure that we get that back up to speed. That's what this is about.
So I'll make that resolution there.
I'll second that resolution.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for that vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next.
Next item on the agenda is number 11, consider and act upon a resolution recommending an additional $900,000 for an aggregate cost of $7,307,000 appropriation and bond authorization for costs related to the previously approved repairs and improvements to various town roads and bridges, consisting of Pool Road drainage improvements, King's Highway Bridge replacement, Hartford Turnpike head wall replacement, and the milling and paving of various town roads, more particularly the King's Highway Bridge replacement.
All right, this was also discussed at the Board of Finance meeting, and as far as Pool Road's concerned, this is in the 555 block on Pool Road. Tremendous flooding down through the years there. We had an engineering design come through, and what this represents is infrastructure improvements that has to be done. As far as King's Highway is concerned, we have to be very careful. It's already been washed out twice, and we're afraid that if we don't get this done, it could collapse again. Now, it's only about 12 feet going under. I say only 12 feet, but nonetheless, it's a major thoroughway coming down King's Highway to Mount Carmel. So what we're seeing here, and let me just digress for a second. So today, I sit on a board of directors of Kerma. It's a publicly traded insurance company that basically supplies 166 out of 169 cities and towns in Connecticut. So in addition to being on the board of directors, I'm also on the investment committee. And basically what we're seeing is that roads, bridges, infrastructure, not only in municipalities but all across the state, are becoming in a state of disrepair. We have a situation not only here in North Haven but other cities and towns where there's certain bridges that the DOT is not comfortable with current weight loads. One of the bridges, we're going to have to redirect some of the heavy vehicles we have in town over the next maybe 60 days and have rerouting that because of some of these bridges. This is a problem all over the state, and this is one of the reasons why we in local government use the tool of bonding, borrowing. We get interest rates considering we're still highly rated, and we have to improve the infrastructure, folks, and that's what this is about. Okay, so
I'll make a resolution. Resolved that the Board of Selectmen recommends that the town of North Haven appropriate an additional $900,000 for an aggregate $7,307,000 for costs related to the previously approved repairs and improvements to various town roads and bridges, consisting of Pool Road drainage improvements, King's Highway Bridge replacement, Hartford Turnpike head wall replacement, and the milling and paving of various town roadways, more particularly the Kings Highway Bridge replacement. The appropriation may be spent for design, demolition, and removal of materials, construction, equipment, materials, site improvements, survey costs, architect's fees, engineering fees, other consultants' fees, legal fees, net temporary interest and other financing costs, and other expenses related to the project. And that the town authorize the issue of an additional $900,000 for an aggregate $7,307,000 bonds or notes and temporary notes to finance the appropriation. The amount of bonds or notes authorized to be reduced by the amount of grants received and not separately appropriated for the project. Such grants are anticipated to be $450,000 in state LoCIP funds. I'll make that resolution.
Well, second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Just one point.
Yes.
Michael, on the 450, can you just explain, does that offset the 900 such that the amount that would be outstanding to town would be 450?
Yeah, I think it's 50% match, and this is a LoCIP program that, as part of the Council of Governments, we apply for these grants in conjunction with other municipalities, and we have this money available to us. But what's happening with the Department of Transportation is the fact that in order to get a grant, you've got to put some skin in the game. In this case, 50%.
So we issue a bond for the full amount, and then we reduce it by the amount of the grant.
Right. Okay. So in the theoretical aspect of that, we issue the bond, but we never
Draw down. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Okay.
Great.
All right.
I think you had made the resolution. I seconded, and
all right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for that vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next.
Okay, number 13, consider and act upon a resolution recommending a $23 million appropriation and bond authorization for improvements and repairs to the water pollution control facility, consisting of improvements and repairs to the primary clarifier electrical distribution system and related work at the water pollution control facility on Universal Drive. The resolution, and then we can discuss. Resolution that the Board of Selectmen recommends the town of North Haven appropriate $23 million for improvements and repairs to the water pollution control facility, consisting of improvements and repairs to the primary clarifier electrical distribution system and related work at the water pollution control facility on Universal Drive. The appropriation may be spent for acquisition costs, installation costs, design, engineering, and other consultants' fees, legal fees, net temporary interest, and other financing costs, and other expenses related to the project, and that the town issue bonds or notes and temporary notes in an amount not to exceed $23 million to finance the appropriation. The total amount of bonds issued shall be reduced by the amount of grants received and not separately appropriated to the project. It is anticipated that the payment of the expenses of the project, including all debt service on bonds, notes, obligations, temporary notes, and interim funding obligations issued, shall be paid from the Water Pollution Control Authority service fee account.
Yeah, for that, and thank you, David, for that. And I wanted to just share with you, for those who don't know what that is, if 70% of the town of North Haven is on sewer and 30% are on septic, the sewer fees that the residents pay go into an enterprise fund. And the way this works is that the monies accumulate, the fees go in, the sewer fees that get paid. This $23 million is a bond and a resolution that basically says that we will pay this through the fees that come in from the sewer fees, okay? So we have to bond it first, and then it's paid that way. That's the way it works. Hopefully you understand that.
Right.
So it's called an enterprise fund.
And this is, this fund, the enterprise fund, is supported by the increase that we had in the fees last year that I think went from $370 to $460, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, right.
So there'll be no addition, just to confirm for folks, there's no additional increase in the sewer fees?
No.
Right.
No. Whatever was memorialized this past year, that's the sewer fee. And this infrastructure upgrade is paid by that. Now, you may be wondering why we have to do this. I'm going to tell you exactly why. Because if pipes start bursting under the ground and sewer backups happen, that's a real disaster for the residents of North Haven. So this is another example of infrastructure has to be kept up. We cannot have sewer backups pipes bursting, pipes breaking, because their infrastructure underneath the town of North Haven and the roadways, that was put in probably in the mid-1960s. We have to keep this, we have to keep moving forward here, and that's why.
And as you said, Mike, it only involves the people that do have
Right.
sewer fees, not the other 30% of the town that have septic systems.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. The only thing I'll say is just, there's a lot of money that we just went through, right? Those are big dollars. But I think it's important to remind folks watching and folks here that when you kind of break down each of these resolutions, what we're really talking about, and to start from the top, is there's an additional 400 for which we'll have a public meeting for. There's another 450 for the Kings Highway Bridge. It's 900 that we will issue, but only 450 given our offsetting grant. And then the 23 million, it's a very large number, but there's no additional amounts that will be asked of the residents because your sewer fees already are incorporating that amount.
Right.
So that 23 considered that additional increase last year, and that's how they got to that number.
Exactly.
So the total amount that we will be issuing in bonds is 400 plus 450, so 850,000. That will be the total amount that the town will have to support with an additional bond issuance, not plus 23 million.
That's right, yeah.
Just, it's a, when you first look at that number, it's a little eye-popping, but it's already baked into the fees. I'm so sorry, I just wanted to
Very
get through
good. Good explanation. Okay.
that. So 15,
Yes, good.
yeah?
So, well, we didn't vote on that one.
No, we didn't
Yeah,
vote
We
on
didn't vote
this
yet.
yet.
We didn't vote on this
I
one.
will, you made the resolution.
Yes,
I'll
I'm sorry.
second that motion.
Yep, sorry about that.
It's okay.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second? Second.
Bill, I think seconded.
I did second.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next.
Okay, so we'll move on to 15.
Number 15.
Yes.
Bill?
And, and I think number 15 is, we've made the resolutions, but it needs to go to a town meeting. So that's what number 15 is. Consider and act upon a resolution calling for a special town meeting to consider, discuss, and act upon resolutions concerning the aforesaid appropriations and bond authorizations. David, go ahead and make the resolution.
Sure. Resolved that at a special town meeting to be held Thursday, March 26th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the community room of North Haven Memorial Library, 17 Elm Street in North Haven, so right here, to act upon the above recommendation concerning the aforesaid appropriations and bond authorizations, and that the notice for the special town meeting presented at this meeting be approved and signed. So I'll make a resolution that we will have this meeting, and this is where you all come in, right? Come to this meeting, speak your mind, let us know what you think about these appropriations, and then we will have a vote, which the people will participate in, of course, on these issuances.
Very good.
I'll second that resolution for the special town meeting.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No. This is the discussion, right? You can come back and come public comment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, next.
Sure. I'll just quickly go through resignations and appointments. Reappointment of Michael J. Frieda, 90 Highland Park Road, North Haven, Connecticut, 06473, to the Greater New Haven Transit District Board of Directors for a 4-year term to expire April 1st, 2030. And an appointment of, do we have to go through each of those, Val? Separately? Okay,
Yes,
so
please.
make a resolution to reappoint Michael.
I'll second that reappointment.
In the discussion, I'll just share that I agreed to do this again. This is probably my 12th year on this, but the reason I want to do this again, they asked me to do it again, is because we are, in the next 4 years, you're going to see on State Street and Sackett Point Road, moving the Connecticut Transit District on the shuttle bus services for the elderly and for the disabled from Hamden into North Haven. So that's going to be, you may see a sign here if you drive by across from Liuzzi's. So I've been involved with this for a long time, so I wanted to see this through fruition, I should say. Thank you.
So that structure will be completed at that time, you
I think it's going to start next year, and
Yeah.
hopefully then in this 4 or 3 years after that, I think, I'm hoping it'll be completed. So,
That'd be great.
yes, so.
Okay, so,
Vote.
a vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
He's abstaining.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the appointment of Giacomo Telemio. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Esquire, 31 Washington Avenue, North Haven, Connecticut 06473, as the motor vehicle citation hearing officer for the town of North Haven. So this was, I assume, the person that we were referencing earlier.
Exactly, David.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
right, yes, okay.
Under the automated traffic enforcement safety device municipal plan, he's the hearing officer.
Right.
This
Right.
gentleman is. So I will second Giacomo's appointment.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Giacomo's his name, he's an attorney.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep,
No,
so.
me too.
Giacomo
Sorry.
Palameo,
Sorry.
that's the correct pronunciation.
That is
Attorney
way
Palameo,
better than I
so-
did. Wow.
Okay,
sorry,
so
Giacomo.
That's okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I'm half Italian, I should know that.
Next.
Okay, so, property tax rundown, can we do this in one fell swoop?
may.
Yeah?
Yes.
So we have a number of property tax refunds here, none of which are material. So we will do this in one resolution. So, Bill, I'll resolve here to accept all of these and approve all of these property tax refunds.
We have a couple that are a little larger than usual, but again, I think they've all been approved by the tax collector and assessor's office.
They were veteran exceptions.
That's what I was gonna say, they're veterans extensions. Or
Oh, that's
veterans
Exemptions.
That's what they were, yes.
Okay.
So they were
Yeah.
refunded.
refunds based on our programs for tax abatements for veterans.
Correct.
So I will second those refunds.
Just a quick discussion point on that. Thank you, Bill, for saying that. I just kind of whipped through these. I never really know what they're for, and now I understand that there's a background to each one of these. So this is with respect to folks who are veterans and disabled, and there's a tax abatement for them.
Yes.
Typically, it's usually motor vehicle where there's like an overpayment for one reason or another. A person sells the vehicle, it doesn't quite catch up, so there's small overpayments or leasing. But it could also be for your personal property, for your home. And in this case, that's what those two larger ones were because they had veteran exemptions on
Okay.
their home.
Thank you.
But most of them are motor vehicles, just because of one has been sold or donated.
Okay.
I think actually I had one a couple of years ago where I ended up donating a car or whatever.
Great.
Motion and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, item number 19, the next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Selectmen is Thursday, April 9th, not April 2nd, ladies and gentlemen. We're observing Passover that week, so April 9th, the second Thursday in April, and that'll be here at the library at 17 Elm Street.
And it's correctly on the calendar.
Yeah, and if anybody would like to come to my house for, instead of coming here, they come to my house for Passover, that'd be great. You're all welcome.
Okay.
Just ask for it.
Ed, I know you had your hand up. Did you have a comment you'd like to make?
Well, yeah, I was basically,
You have to come up to
come
the
up to the
microphone,
mic.
please.
You guys were mentioning that the meeting for this is going to be here, but I think we would have more people, it would be better at the high school.
For the
Auditorium.
appropriation, for the, what was
Because
discussed?
I know I've been to those meetings before, and sometimes you're going to basically overflow this room. It would be easier for people to make the meeting like we usually for budget referendums and stuff like that at the high school auditorium. It would be.
Well, for these types of meetings, we haven't been drawing that big of a
Oh, you
crowd,
haven't?
to be
Oh, okay. No,
honest.
'cause I know
The
you-
budget meetings will be at the high school.
Okay.
So that, I understand your concern, and they will be at the high school, but for this meeting, I think we'll be.
Oh,
I think
all right, no, I
capacity
wasn't
here is
sure
like
because
70.
I know in the
So-
past I've been to the budget referendum meetings at the high school and I
Yeah.
know those.
Right.
Ed, that would be a great problem to have.
Yeah.
Yes.
We would love to have more people in this room than we could, but yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
sure we would get them. We got to make these meetings more fun, man, right?
Right.
All right, Jerry Feinberg, so you had.
And David, I think David explained too, and hopefully anybody listening understood, I think the point about the bonding for the sewer system is actually already.
It's already baked in.
We're already seeing it in the sewer bills if you have sewer.
Mr. Feinberg.
I already addressed what I was going to
Okay,
raise
very
my
good.
hand about.
All right. Susan, you have.
Thinking alike.
Okay.
So, Bienvenido again. It was about the sewer usage bill. And so does that mean that don't expect an increase next year, or a very minimal one?
Well, I think, we'd have to see what the WPCA says, so we can't predict that now. We'd like to see, hope that it's a minimum, if anything, but we don't know that. That's next year, so, or this coming September, actually, so I can't make a commitment on that.
Okay.
Sue, I think the point that, as we understood it, was 23 million reflects the increase that happened last year. That's how they arrived at that number. So they kind of backed into that number.
Well, that's how.
That's the idea.
That's how the sewer usage increase was explained to me, was it was because of what needed to be done.
That's right.
To the pipes.
Right.
So, okay, great, that's wonderful. And to know that it's being used, I was on the phone with them, and I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, you're asking for an increase, but they were saying from the spending from last, if you know in June how much money you were spending, why do we not get billed until October 1st, but then they came in late, or September 1st, and they came in late? I was like, when my year's up, I know what I spent the money, and I know how much I need. It doesn't take me 4 months to figure out how much I want to charge these people. Because here's my dollar, and here's what it costs. But that's why I said that to them, so,
Understood.
Okay.
Thanks, Sue.
Thanks, Sue. Mary White.
Mary White, Summer Lane. Let's see, so I attended the WPCA meeting on October 6, 2025, and I thought it was interesting. I know it's sewer, but I thought it was interesting. I learned about there had been no improvements to the system since the 80s. They are fixing things as they break, piecemeal. The electrical distribution system is aged in the 60s. So they talked about, I guess, a 3-step plan. So I think my question would be wondering if the 23 million, if it includes the 3 steps or the 3 subjects of improvement that were needed. So the first one was the electrical, so I'm clear on that. The second one, they talked about the primary settling tank was offline for years. They've been using parts to keep the other 2 tanks running. There was mention about they were facing a DEEP order for the settling tank, and they talked about an estimation, a cost for that, 3 to 4 million. And the electrical estimation for conversation was like 15 to 20 million, I think it was. And then the third area they were talking about was the sludge handling system. So this picks up, moves, digests, and the less to process. You want it more dense, so to speak. I know it's gross, but anyway, so I was just wondering if when it said, and then the electrical distribution, do we know if the clarifier part of the 23 million, does it include the primary settling tank? Does it include the sludge handling system? Or are those going to be costs for another bonding situation?
Yeah, we'll double check that. We'll talk to the engineer, Mary, but I think that's going to be a future expense beyond the 23 million.
So the settling tank and the sludge handling system? Okay.
Yeah, we'll verify that.
We'll verify that. Okay, thank you. So last month, Mike, you spoke of the budgets and how they had been submitted to the town hall, and you, I think, and is it the finance director that receives them? Okay, that you hadn't made any changes, and that the budgets as presented reflected a 3.42 mill rate increase. And then I think you talked about reval and economic development being incorporated, and it reduced the mill rate to a 2.57 mill rate increase. You had stated that wasn't going to fly, and you were looking for only maybe a 0.33 mill rate increase. So you had asked, or the department heads were asked, to go back and redo their budgets. And so I was wondering if they have done that, and if they have resubmitted them to the town hall, and if they had made any changes that would reflect an estimated, like a decrease in the mill rate with those resubmitted budgets. And then And if the resubmitted budgets to the town hall did not reflect that overall .33 mill rate increase that you would be comfortable with, will the town hall, yourself, finance director, will you be making cuts to the budgets, or will you be, or the town hall be submitting, excuse me, the budgets to the Board of Finance, and then the Board of Finance make the cuts?
Well, I think it's going to be a combination of both, Mary.
Combination, okay.
The Board of Finance will certainly have what we call decrements, and right now, I'm not going to be able to sell this budget the way it is. So we're going to probably make some cuts internally, and then the Board of Finance will come in and offer perspective and decrements. You're right, I mentioned .33 mils. Maybe it's going to be .69, 1.05, I'm not sure yet. That's going to be part of what the Board of Finance does. And I'm very sensitive to the fact that, this is why I'm saying it right up front, I'm not going to be able to sell a budget that's going to have that kind of a tax increase. So, and that's kind of where we're at. And there's a lot of non-discretionary costs, health insurance, pension obligations, workman's comp, whatever it may be through our self-insured program. But the reality of the situation is that even though we grew the grand list 2.7%, which is 3.3 million in incremental revenue, we're still, that's what you were talking about, Mary, the 2.57, going down from 3.4. And yet, although I have to back off on something that I may have mentioned the last meeting, there will be additional appeals that could come off the 2.7% grand list growth, which is pretty significant under any given year. To bring 3.3 million in incremental revenue is pretty significant. But we're going to be watching what offsets are through the appeal process. We're going to have to get a handle on that. So.
Okay, all right, so then, so the answer to the question specifically about the department heads going back, redoing their budgets, and then they did do that, and they did resubmit, so you've seen what it looks like.
Some of them did, yes.
Some did.
Some did, yes. So. Okay. And there was sort of a tacit request. It wasn't a demand. It wasn't a mandate on my part. So, because I knew that we'd have the opportunity internally and externally with the Board of Finance to make additional adjustments before we bring it to the town meeting.
Okay, and so
Mary, I'm so sorry to interrupt, I'm sorry, but I think another point to this is not all departments had increases in their budgets. So you wouldn't, you wouldn't necessarily go to the library department or to the community services department if they didn't have an increase to ask them to reduce. So I think, to your point, only specific departments that had material increases would they be looking to move the needle on.
Right.
If that's helpful.
Yes, okay, thank you. And then, so I wanted to ask, will the March Board of Finance meeting, will that be the meeting where the Board of Finance will be discussing the budgets and, you know what I mean, like, when they really dig into them, and then do they set the mill rate at that time, and like what's the next step? What are the next steps?
Well, there'd be several next steps. Of course, the March, the April, and the May Board of Finance meeting. There'll be the meeting in March, the public hearing, if you'd like to call it, a town meeting on the budget, and then there'll be an April meeting also. So there'll be ample time for the public to weigh in. Will the Board of Finance on this coming couple of weeks? I think it'd be discussed. I'm not sure what the outcome would be, because you have to have the Board of Finance offer their own decrements a member would like to see also.
And so that's not scheduled for March, that'll happen in April, do you think?
I'm not sure, Val. I'm not really sure about that.
If you look at the schedules we have, the budget workshop to finalize the budget on March 18th.
March 18th?
Yeah, so they finalize it, and then we, April 13th, we go to a public hearing on Monday, April 13th, which I think is the first meeting in the over at the high school.
Yeah.
So technically, they're having their workshop to finalize the budget on the next meeting on the 18th.
Okay, so they are going to be talking about it, digging down into it on the 18th.
Those two meetings, Mary, those are the key meetings, right? The Board of Finance on the 18th, and then April 13th, Monday night, at the high school.
At the high school.
We'll have big numbers then. Those are the meetings that the public will have an opportunity to hear what the current budget proposal is going to be, and then Michael will present on the 13th what a proposed mill rate's going to be, and that's when the public will have an opportunity to respond with questions, with concerns, and then in May, there'll be another meeting to present the final budget, which will be, I think, May 11th?
May
Is it?
11th.
May 11th.
Look at our schedule.
That's
Monday,
the-
May 11th.
That's the final budget, which will reflect all of the iterations through the last couple of months, including the public's response after April 13th. At May 11th, Michael will again, together with the Board of Ed, Patrick Stirk, our superintendent, present two sides of the budget, because don't forget, there's a whole Board of Ed side here too, which is a major driver. Of course, it's more than half the budget, so, or maybe about half. Then they'll present that final budget after hearing from the public, and then there's the referendum.
And there's two other variables here that we're watching closely. All of us as municipalities, we got the runs, we call it, the runs, meaning the runs of what the state aid and subsidization will be. All of us kind of are flat funded right now. So that was the governor's first go around. Now, I actually met the governor. We talked about ECS, and special ed, and then I was at a press conference in Hartford yesterday with some of my colleagues across the state, about 20 of the mayors and first selectmen, and there's a lot of movement, hopefully, that we can achieve more education cost-sharing money. We know that the Board of Ed's going to probably come in with a higher increase than the town, and so that's going to be a very key piece for us to determine during this process what the actual numbers are from the state, particularly on CS. And that's kind of what we're looking at right now. That press conference was very well attended, and it was very positive. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. There's great news, actually. I mean, coming out of that press conference, I think there's more, I would say there's more spirited, there's more hope than I think than we've had before. The amount of what they call the foundational level. The amount of money that every student gets is set at a particular level, and then every municipality moves up and down based on a variety of variables of student population, free reduced lunch, all these kinds of things that play in. Wealth cap. Yeah, these are, and so our students get approximately $1,200 per student. The foundational level, I believe, is set at $12,500.
$12,500, right.
And so what the new proposal might be, which would be incredibly helpful, is raising that foundational level $1,000 over the next, $1,000 each of the next 4 years?
Yes, with CPI indexes on top of that potentially also. But yes, so David's right about this. And that, if you think about the number of students in North Haven and multiply that times $1,000, that can be sort of a game changer on education. But as we just mentioned here, there's offsets to it. And one of them is wealth gap. So in other words, some of the, let's say Hartford, Waterbury, Bridgeport, maybe New Britain as an example, they may get a larger share per district than a North Haven, Madison, Guilford, some of the higher affluent.
Yeah, which, the state is trying to allocate resources, limited resources, just as we're trying to do. But any increase in that foundational level will mean that for a North Haven student, if we get $1,300 per student now, maybe we get, I'm throwing out numbers, maybe it's $1,500, right? But any increase, if you increase the foundational level, then theoretically, all boats should rise. And so that's the hope. And so I was following this meeting, and so these numbers are uncertain though, Mary, and for everybody watching, we don't know what these numbers are going to be. But if the state can see to it to increase both this cost sharing as well as the amount that we have to allocate for when we have to send kids out for special education of our district, which is a huge driver, a budget buster, as the superintendent calls it.
Right.
These would be game changers for our district. But right now, we're really kind of faced with a lot of headwinds that Michael is describing. So come to these meetings, come curious, voice your opinion, check out what each of these departments heads has really done. They've done an amazing job of really considering their budgets and trying to keep numbers down. And I met with the superintendent yesterday, and they're under an enormous amount of pressure, as Michael's describing, to present a number to town that can be supported by our voters. So come out, come curious, and ask questions.
will do.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Okay. Any other comments? All right, seeing none, hearing none, I'd like to thank you for your participation, both our residents here, those watching hopefully on TV, David and William. Thank you very much, and we'll call for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Hopefully spring will come. I'll second the motion.
All right, motion second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
See everybody on April 9th.
Your treat for Pete.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.